Thanks, Madam Hana. I'm Nur Aisha Nabila. The first proposition and the topic that we chose is, should Malaysian companies hire more expatriates workers in an organization? Without further ado, let me point out my first point. Next. The United States Conference on Trade and Development found that businesses that hire expatriates frequently increase their export volumes and broaden their market reach abroad. In fact, based on my research, by Atlantis, Sterling, and Rose indicate that companies with a higher percentage of expatriate workers were more likely to engage in international economic activities, includes exports and foreign direct investment. So based on the pie chart that I found from Northwestern's, so, we can see that the percentage of expatriate assignment is very successful. Basically, expatriates tend to have more positive attitudes, such as being positive, not questioning about their salary, being disciplined, and etc. This could be an advantage for companies when hiring more expatriates and can lead to business expansions. Move on to the second point, international experience from different countries. Previous slide. According to data from the World Bank, there were over 272 million individuals residing abroad in 2019. This number has been constantly rising. Local businesses now have access to a growing talent pool with a variety of foreign expertise, which gives them the chance to access a worldwide knowledge base, develop understanding of various markets, and adjust their business strategy accordingly. So when the company hire people who have experience in a lot of things and multicultural, it somehow can increase their innovativeness. So, according to the research by the Boston Consulting Group, organization with more multicultural management teams generate 19% higher revenues as a result of innovation. Sorry. So it demonstrates that diversity is an essential component of a successful revenue generating company and not merely a goal to aim for. So next, my last point. Point 3, to apply their knowledge of culture to the locals. So based on my research, a study from Lazani, Richer, and Nagy, so foreign managers frequently play a crucial role in teaching local staff how to use the best practice, technology, and management strategies. So by employing foreign workers, allows local businesses to take advantage of these unique resources and boost their competitiveness and growth. So based on the graph, we can see that all the positive attitudes that was shown by expatriates. So it was discovered that immigrant workers' attitudes and working conditions varied from those of natives. So compared to the local workers, the foreign workers were less picky about the type of task they completed. So that's all from my part. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, Madam. I'm from the opposition team. I'm Zalika Alisha. So first of all, the topic for our debate is, should Malaysian business companies hire more expatriates? So from the point that Aisha given, I disagree with the definition given by the opposition, which is to expand the business globally. So however, I believe that this statement is false. According to the argument for and against internationalization of business, there are still disadvantage to globalization. The disadvantage of globalization include a widening gap between upper and a lower social economic classes, that loss of domestic companies and jobs. As a company has a move production to countries with lower wages, they have been able to increase profits and earn more money for their shareholder while increasing the wages of workers in uh, developing countries. So the result, people in developed countries become more richer at a faster rate than in developing countries. That countries with capital and skilled labor will be better off than a country without them. So the picture does not change dramatically when we use the other indicator like the expenditure for R&D. So as we can see, Korea is still increasing for the investment in applied knowledge production, and as we can see that the Netherlands remains stable. The Germany has settled on a even keel at a high level, but Malaysian is on a downward because trend during the 1990s and long before the Asian financial crisis broke. For Indonesia, we have not been able to obtain later data but it is very unlikely that the number of research personnel has increased in recent years. So in 1980s, there was almost no care gap between Korean and Malaysia. So by 1995, the gap had widened dramatically if measured by expenditure on R&D. So my second point is economic impact of foreign workers. Although international hiring can be a cost-effective and smart practice, the process of diversifying your company and launching it in the global market has significant drawback as well. So the disadvantage associated with hiring foreign workers include a lack of communicating and integrity. It is relatively easy to find an international worker that suits your needs. So, however, uh, you may need to train them yourself to adhere to company practices and acquaint them with other process based requirements. So other than that, international workers also share relatively less interpersonal ties with the company than internal or local workers. So this leads to a potential loss for the company as well. So after a certain period, if the employer decides to quit, the investment made for their training may be wasted. So this may be because the employer has no real connection as the entire process that relies only on online interactions as the entire process relies only with management. So this interaction may not be enough to build a long-term relationship with foreign workers. So my last point is that the pool of people with the necessary job skill could be limited because depending on the product, you could candidate that pool may be limited. That doesn't mean companies can hire local workers and then they train a new workforce. So this means more money and more time spent on bringing the local workforce up to the appropriate skill level. So some skill training programs require outside experts. So especially if there is no one in the organization knowledgeable enough about the topic to provide meaningful education about it. So hiring external trainees can be costly, especially if the training lasts several days. So take place in a off-site location. Or take place outside of work hours, which may involve additional fees for employees. To reduce the cost issue, the organization and its human resource department need to allocate sufficient funds in its budget to cover an effective skill training program through the over the year. So I think that's from my point.
Um, Ijaz, like, okay, hi and assalamualaikum to madam. My name is Nina Shaira and I'm the second speaker for proposition team. Um, so before I start with my supporting details, let me first look at what the first speaker from the opposition said regarding her third point, which is the pool of people with the necessary job skills could be limited. In my defense, if there is a shortage of specific skills or expertise in the local talent pool, hiring expatriates can be the best way to help to bridge that gap. Hence, I would like to add on to the supporting statement written by Online News, The Star, in October 2022. The Minister in the Prime Minister Department Economy, Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, stated that Malaysia still need foreign workers in various sectors, especially in construction, plantation, manufacturing, and also domestic. It is because most of the companies often taken the best fit approach and seeking the best person for the job with regard to merit and skill sets that can fit the position that needed in the specific uh, position in that organization. Next, I would like to move on to my first point, which is um, hiring expatriate in an organization, which I strongly agree with the decision on hiring expatriate workers in local companies is a good decision to make in order to improve the business growth. In order to highlight one of my points on my proposition side, hiring an expatriate could help in increasing their competitiveness in the organization. This is not only applied to the expatriates in itself, but also to the local workers in the organization to stay competitive in the organization. So, according to the online portal of Malaysia Kini, in order to address Malaysia's extremely high unemployment rate this year, the Ministry of Human Resources has laid out a new policy that calls for hiring expatriates and international workers. It is because hiring only local workers will not guarantee the level of competitiveness in the local business, as they only will focus on the local ideas and skills. And for my next point to add on, hiring expatriates can contribute to a diversity and also global perspective. Consider where your company will benefit from the global perspective, cultural exchange, and also enhanced creativity that expatriate can bring to the organization. So according to an online website from Expat Network, it has mentioned that local employee wouldn't be able to give company this diversity since they have been in one country all throughout their working years. And also, it is because a diverse workforce will be able to offer fresh perspective and spark innovative ideas. And for my last point, I would strongly agree to hire expatriate in local companies because expatriate often have extensive professional networks in their home country and other region, which can give an opportunity to a global network for the company itself. So by hiring them, local companies can tap into these networks and also expanding their business connection and opportunities for future collaboration. To strengthen my point, I have found an online portal from Expert Network regarding experts who are important when expanding globally. So it has stated in that online portal that expatriates do help in extending and also give exposure to the business to a global network as they may have traveled to many countries, which can give an opportunity to the businesses in having a network of global contacts. With this, it can naturally help the companies in the expansion plan and have achieve business objectives. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
All right. So a very good evening to Miss Norhana as well as the proposition team. So my name is Yelena Nifoturista binti Kosemtuari, and thank you for the proposition team for justifying your point just now. Okay, so according to the New Straits Times, Malaysia ranks as the 27th place in the world most competitive economies, in which that in terms of the business sophistication, showing that local exercise knowledge are important for the navigating the Malaysian market. So now coming to my first point, which is, do you know that the hiring expatriates can be very costly? That expatriates often demand higher salaries as well as additional benefits. So according to a report by ECA International, as we can see right there, in Kuala Lumpur, it is ranked as the 32 most expensive location for expatriates in Asia. So from this perspective, we can see that these high costs can actually strain the company budget and reduce the profitability. Thus, why do local companies still need to hire expatriates when it can actually clearly burden the companies in spending such a big amount of cost? So by saying this, we can actually see that local companies should expect to pay more, like 2 to 5 times more on expats rather than spending on a local employee, isn't it? So not only that, do you know that hiring expatriates can actually create the issue of language and culture in the working environment? So this in this case, the expatriate may face challenges where in adapting to the local culture as well as the language. So as we all know, Malaysia has a diverse cultural landscape that with multiple ethnic groups and languages. So according to the state of expat life survey by the Internation 2019 found that 46% of the expatriate experience difficulties in making local friends due to language barriers. Next slide, please. So from this perspective, don't expatriates actually find it difficult to communicate with and integrate effectively within the local workforce? So don't you know that this can actually impact the teamwork, productivity, as well as the organization cohesion? So moving on to the next, when it comes to expatriates, it's always related to working permits, right? So that I would like to mention about the hiring expatriates in Malaysia, which requires obtaining working permits and visas, which can be a time consuming for the process. So according to the Department of Immigration Malaysia, under the guidelines for employment of expatriates, it actually stated that the government has implemented a stricter regulation. Next slide, please. It's actually to prioritize the local employment opportunities, where it making it more challenging for the expatriate. So hence, it is actually clear that working permit can be one of the barriers for the local companies to actually face when hiring expatriates, right? So because at the end of the day, these local companies need to bear with the difficulties of hiring local or foreign expatriates. Thank you so much for your
A very good evening to Madam Hannah and to all the panels from both proposition and opposition side. My name is Lydia and I'm the third panel from the proposition side. So first of all, I would like to say thank you very much to Ms. Juliana for pointing out the points. However, I would like to argue on that point where Ms. Juliana stated that hiring expatriates can increase the labor cost of the company. However, based on my research from the New Straits Times by Asila Jalil, the article stated that Malaysia is still the cheapest for expats hiring. So the writer also mentioned that Malaysia remain as the region with the lowest salary and benefit packages for expat staff in the year 2021. Thus, I can argue that the point mentioned by Ms. Juliana is not 100% valid because with the evidence, I can argue that hiring expatriates to work in Malaysia is not as costly and does not affect much of the financial of the company and due to the low expatriates payment. So the company can still obtain benefits from hiring expatriates from the foreign countries. So now I would like to enhance my arguments by setting up my three additional points, which is firstly, I would like to start off with my first point. Firstly, I would like to state that expatriates, next slide, next slide. Next slide. Now I would like to enhance my arguments with my three additional points. I start off with my first point, which is hiring expatriates. Tadi. So firstly, by hiring expatriates, it can help the company to increase problem-solving capabilities. This is because referring to the evidence of article that I have derived from Daniel Akmal from UNICEF, the article stated that during the period of the expatriate working in the foreign country, the expatriate with a high self-efficiency have a better interaction with the host country nationals. So thus this means that the expatriates that will take the initiative to solve problems and will have a continuous effort. Based from the article also, it is proven that expatriates working in foreign countries are more reliable and efficient because they have a high self-efficiency that enables them to have a greater interactions that help them to solve a problem faster and effectively. From this, I believe that it can increase and boost up the productivity of the company. So moving on to the second point, to add more, derived from the website called Multiplier, by hiring expatriates from different countries and backgrounds, also it means that it is coming from various experience. When the experience and backgrounds are brought together into the same platform, isn't that a great opportunity for the organization to have a strategic thinking and to come up with a out of the box solution for the problems due to the different backgrounds? So for the next point, by hiring an expatriate, it can help the organization to develop innovation. Why so? According to the information that I have derived from LinkedIn, hiring expatriates allow different perspectives and ideas to be shared together and to create a better innovations and outcome for the organization. So, isn't this a great opportunity for the organization to bring a new and innovative ways to complete tasks and routines in the organization? I support this argument with another evidence that I derived from article of Mr. Wunwosen Sigay, where the article stated that hiring expatriates can help to reduce the issue of not acquiring employees with the highly innovative behaviors that are generally scarce from the local market in Malaysia. Due to this situation, companies are hiring expatriates from outside of the country to fill in the position that are not fulfilled by the local employees. The same article also mentioned that skills gap of the local employees can be reduced because the expatriates provide innovative ideas and perspectives that can benefit both the employees and the organization itself. So, based from this article, it clearly shows that expatriates can help the business to give innovations and better benefits that the local employees cannot fulfill. So, moving on to the last point, I would like to propose that hiring an expatriate is very beneficial to the organization because expatriates is a very motivated employees. Why so? This is because expatriate employees are employees that are working away or working far away from their home country. This reinforces the idea that they are employees that are motivated to do and explore things outside of their own comfort zone. This criteria help the employees to always stay motivated and in completing their tasks given. According to the evidence that I have found from LinkedIn, are very positive and consistently open themselves to criticism, unfamiliar situations, and collecting new experience along the way. And this helps the business to be more productive and efficient as their workforce are very motivated and viable. So in today's competitive world, isn't that what every company wants? To have a motivated and dedicated employees that can help the company to achieve their goals and objectives, to to dominate the industry. And with that, before ending my part, I would like to reinforce and enhance more that hiring expatriates really help the company to be more competitive and reliable, aligned with the objective and the mission visions that every organization are looking for. And thank you. That's all from my part.
All right. Assalamualaikum and greetings. My name is Takif Isamarkan. I am the third panel from opposition team. So thank you for the proposition panel for your input. However, regarding whether Malaysian companies should hire more expatriate into local companies here in Malaysia, I strongly disagree with one of the statement made by the first panel of proposition, Nur Aisha Nabila, whereby he mentioned that hiring expatriate can actually significantly expand our business globally. Now, according to the Forbes, previous slide. Yes, thank you. So according to the Forbes article, hiring a local in market help the business significantly actually. So despite of the amount of research that exists, it is vital to talk to people in the market so that having local people in Malaysia especially on the team is valuable because they can explain the custom and habit unique to the particular market. All right, so moving on, I will now highlight my points with my reason on why Malaysian companies should not hire more expatriate in the country. First is to reduce leading community building or also reduce the unemployment rates. So why would we actually focus too much on hiring expatriates when our country is yet to deal with an employment rates? Previous slide. All right, first of all, is to actually reduce the Malaysian unemployment rates. So why would we should actually focus on hiring more expatriates into our company, whereby we can actually focus on our local employees itself, because there are yet unemployment rates to settle in Malaysia. Now, according to my findings, according to New Straits Times article, Malaysian unemployment rates recorded 4.1% unemployment rates in the first quarter of last year. So this rate is 10.1%. Moreover, Sabah also reported to have the highest unemployment rates of 7.7%. Therefore, I stand with my point whereby we should actually focus on facilitating the locals to pursue jobs and decrease the unemployment rating, which is actually can be more beneficial for the companies in the local and also our country. Plus, with more expatriate working in Malaysia, it will actually demotivate people, especially our locals, to have a hard finding of finding a job. Next slide with my second point. Next slide. My next slide is the interrupted employee career progression. So when a company hires or recruit expats into local companies, it will actually affect the work progress, whereby the expats will have to adapt with new working environment. All right, for my second point is interrupting employees' career progression. So when a company hires or recruit expats into local companies, it will actually affect the working progression, whereby the expats will have to adapt with new environment working in a different time zone due to lack of experience and skills. So therefore, with expats having in Malaysia, it will cause more limitation, such as language barrier, which actually will take some time for them to actually progress to learn and adapt with the new culture and also the languages. So meanwhile, the more expats in local company, it will actually reduce the employment career progress for the local employees. So this statement is being supported by the article of New Straits Times as well, whereby government has set new rules of hiring expats and facilitate local employees, which actually allows more local people to able to progress their careers in Malaysia. And my last point will be the risk of burnout for expats. So for the last point is whereby living as an expatriate can actually be really exciting for them and present some great opportunities for career advancement. However, there is no doubt that it can actually be more difficult for the expats to adapt with the transition from their place to our country emotionally and mentally. So according to an article that I have found, it mentioned that running and working in a new company risk of expats suffer from extreme stress, fatigues and burnout. This eventually can actually affect the work progress by the expats and they will be more or less productive. To support with this point, Asian countries, including Malaysia, are labeled as one of the countries that hits hard by burnout and poor mental health outcomes. So as you may see from the pictures, there is burnout, depression system, anxiety system, distress, and high intent of leave. So all of these measurements can actually affect the company progression and also our expats as well. So that is all for my part. Thank you.
Okay. So to sum all the arguments from the proposition side, We believe that hiring more expatriates in the organization can expand the business globally. They have international experience from different countries and to apply the knowledge of culture to the locals. Besides, from the second proposition, it can increase competitiveness, encourage diversity and global perspective, and give opportunities to a network of global contacts. Other than that, from the third proposition, it can increase problem-solving capabilities, fostering innovations that can lead to economic growth and motivated employees that can see from the bigger picture. Thank you.
Okay. So overall, I would like to thank all panel. However, with opposition team, we strongly believe that with our points, with solid evidence, that Malaysian companies should give more opportunities for the local and have less reduce the high amount of expatriates intakes in working environment that can be beneficial for our country. Thank you.